All right, today we are going to dive into some of Jesus's most intense teachings, and it all happens during a single, very tense dinner party. This is a story all about invitations, who gets invited, who actually shows up, and, maybe most importantly, the staggering cost of saying yes. So, let's just start with the question that really frames this whole thing. What if you got an invitation that promised you something absolutely amazing, but to accept it, you had to completely rethink every single priority in your life? I mean, everything. Let's see what that looks like.
So our story kicks off not in a grand temple or a synagogue, but at a dinner party. And you need to know this is not a friendly get-together, it's basically an ambush.
Okay, so picture the scene. It's the Sabbath, a holy day of rest, and we're at the home of a big-shot religious leader. Jesus is supposedly the guest of honor, but really, he's under a microscope. Every single person in that room is watching his every move, just waiting for him to make a mistake. You could cut the tension with a knife. And Jesus, well, he doesn't waste any time. There's a man there with a serious medical condition right in front of everyone, and Jesus just heals him on the Sabbath. Then he turns to all of these legal experts and asks them a really simple question about whether it's okay to rescue an animal on the Sabbath. And they're just silent. They have no answer. Right away, he has completely flipped the script and taken charge. So, now that he has everyone's undivided attention, Jesus turns his focus to the social games being played in the room, and he uses it to teach this incredible lesson about what honor and status really mean. He's watching all the guests as they come in, and he notices how they're all scrambling for the best seats, the ones closest to the host. And what's so powerful here is the contrast. The way the world works is you push yourself forward, you grab that seat of honor. But Jesus says, no, do the exact opposite. Willingly, deliberately, take the lowest place at the table. And here it is. This is the principle that underpins the whole idea. It's the punchline. See, true honor isn't something you can seize for yourself. It's something that's given to you. In this upside-down way of looking at things, humility is actually the path to being lifted up. But he's not done. He then turns to the host, the guy who invited him, and makes an even more radical point. He basically says, take a look at your guest list. It's a social network. You invite your friends, your family, your rich neighbors, people who can invite you back. It's all a transaction. But Jesus says, try a new way. Throw a party and invite the people who can give you absolutely nothing in return. So why on earth would you do that? What's the point? Well, it's because the reward you're looking for isn't another dinner invitation. The reward is on a completely different level. This is a total shift from an economy of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, to a divine economy of pure grace. Well, hearing all this talk about banquets and blessings, another guest chimes in about how great it'll be to eat at God's banquet. And that's all the opening Jesus needs to tell a story, a parable that's actually a pretty sharp warning. Okay, so in the story, a man plans a massive banquet and sends out his invitations. But when the dinner is ready, the excuses start pouring in. And listen to them. They sound pretty reasonable, right? A new real estate deal, a new business investment, a brand new marriage. These aren't bad things, but they become bad things when they take priority over the master's personal invitation. Well, the host in the story is furious. He basically says, fine, if my so-called friends are too busy for me, I'll find new guests. So he sends his servant out to bring in everyone who wasn't on the original guest list. The invitation is suddenly thrown wide open to anyone and everyone, especially those society had written off. And the parable ends with this absolutely chilling final line. That first invitation, it was an act of pure grace. But refusing it, that has serious consequences. Making excuses and putting other things first means you lose your place at the table, completely. And all of this brings us to the final section, where Jesus stops telling parables and turns directly to the huge crowd that's following him. And he lays out the terms of his invitation in the starkest, most shocking language you can imagine. Okay, let's just pause here for a second, because this is one of the most jarring things you'll read in the New Testament. Hate your family? Hate your own life? This sounds like it contradicts everything else he teaches. So what on earth is he talking about? So context here is absolutely critical. The Greek word used is missio, but it's being used as a figure of speech, a Semitic idiom. This isn't about feeling emotional hatred or anger. It's a radical statement about priority. He's saying your commitment to him must be so absolute, so total, that all your other loyalties, even the most sacred ones, like family, look like hate in comparison. And right after that bombshell, he drops this one. Now we have to remember,
A cross back then wasn't a piece of jewelry. It was a brutal Roman instrument of execution. To carry your cross meant you were a dead man walking. The point is crystal clear. Following him demands a complete death to your own self-interest, your own ambitions, your own plans. Then Jesus gives two really practical, almost business-like examples to make sure everyone understands. You wouldn't start building a huge tower without first making sure you have enough money to finish it, right? And a king wouldn't go to war without first figuring out if his army is strong enough to win. The message is simple: count the cost. Understand exactly what you're signing up for before you say yes. This is not a casual thing. It's all or nothing. And he wraps the whole thing up with this powerful image. Salt is good, but why? Because it's salty. That's its purpose. If it loses that essential quality, it's not just less good, it's useless, it's thrown out. In the same way, a disciple is only effective if they are radically, distinctively devoted. A half-hearted commitment is like flavorless salt. Worthless.
So we end up right back where we started. We're presented with this incredible, radical invitation. It's open to literally anyone, but it demands literally everything. The banquet hall has plenty of room, but the price of admission is your entire life. And that forces every one of us to look at our own lives, our own priorities, and ask a really tough, unavoidable question.